Fantastic stuff. That is Tame Impala with Eventually from the album Currents that came out in 2015. Great year for me and also a great year for music. Right, it's now 6 minutes past 8, a little bit later than scheduled, but I am now joined by the one and only Vale-Smith, also known as Buffalo Staple or Camden to his closest friends. How are you today?
Thank you, Dan. I'm feeling great. I just meditated in my bath for 20 minutes in
Nice.
advance for this. This is tight. I feel good. I feel good. That was my
Lovely.
preparation ritual for this interview. I
Love
feel
to
good,
hear
man.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing great, man. How are you feeling today?
I'm pretty good myself. I've been looking forward to this show ever since we first discussed it.
Bro, yeah, me too. Me too, man. Definitely. I'm on it.
And something a bit more left field there. Those of you that regularly listen to my show, that might have caught you a little bit off guard. I don't know, but that was One Conversation. That's a second track on Rekindle, and I've had a message come through from Cider as well saying that the song tickles her brain in a good way. What do you think about that, Camden?
Extremely pleased. That's the goal with my music 100% of the time. Is just to give you just dope sounds, just cool sounds that just feel nice to hear. That's all I'm trying to do, really. I'm just trying to please myself with my music, just what I wish I could hear.
Nice.
And so the fact that that came through
And
is
you're
cool.
pleasing other people as well, as well as
Yeah,
pleasing you.
yeah. That's always nice because I feel like my music. I describe it as introverted because I feel like it's very specific to just weird little things, like the way the songs kind of break and stop and have little melodies come in. It's just stuff like when that happens in the music I listen to, I
Mm.
get super excited. I'm like, well, how did they just do that? Like, why did they think to do that? That's just such a cool little. It just created a sick little rhythm or something like that, like a really nice little pocket. So
Mm.
I indulge in that 100% with my music because it's just the stuff that I like. And so when someone else appreciates that too, it's like, oh, there's an audience for this. It's not just me being a nerd and
Yeah,
making just what I
exactly.
exclusively. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You do have quite a following. I've seen, especially on the Twitter circles and the like. You've got quite
Yeah.
a considerable amount of people praising what you're making because I remember the first time I properly listened to your music. I just thought there's no one doing it quite like you at the moment.
Really, that's sick to hear, man.
You know,
That's really I really appreciate that because I think one of the most important parts of finding your sound and your voice is just seeking that individuality, like finding what your stamp is.
mm,
And I think I've got to a point where I can confidently say you can recognize what a Vale Smith beat feels like.
mm.
It's like a distinctive thing.
Like
And
I can sort of pick up the odd influence here and there, but you do it in a
oh
way
yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah.
it makes it feel like your own creation.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I feel the proudest, I think, is because when I can really distinctively notice, this feels like something that doesn't exist anywhere else, and I like that.
Mm,
I like being able to make what I wish existed,
yeah,
and yeah, that's definitely a great feeling. So that's nice to
brilliant.
hear. That's nice to hear. Definitely.
Right. So the first proper thing that I want to know a bit more about is you said yourself that that Rekindle is the album that you're proudest of at this stage, and I'd just like to know
100%.
why that is.
Yeah, I will. I suppose it actually does kind of link into what we were literally just saying. It feels like my most individual work, I think, and I think it's the right balance of, it's got the detail, it's got the idiosyncrasies and weirdness that I think I've kind of developed, like you said, you're describing it as kind of left field. I think a lot of my style and my taste comes down to being inspired by experimental music.
Hmm.
So I try to incorporate that, and I think Rekindle has that, but I also
Yeah.
think it's the catchiest
Yeah,
and the
yeah, for
most
sure. I got that when I
yeah,
listened to it, especially in comparison with even your last album, Coruscate, that came out last year. I think
thing, yeah.
I think it's got. We'll get to sort of the more rhythmic parts of the album when we get to
Right,
it. But
right.
there are definitely tracks on there that might appeal to, I don't know, the house and techno crowd as well.
Sure thing. Yeah, no, yeah, I like that. And Yeah, I suppose like the reason I'm the proudest of this one specifically is because it's the one I think I can most easily listen to just purely for my own pleasure
Mm.
and just enjoy it. Like I found myself doing that with these songs more than any other project. Like I'd be listening to it. Like normally I listen to my songs over and over again so I can assess them and try and improve them and sort of like think what does this need? Does it need anything? Like and like from more of a critical
Yeah.
perspective. But with this album, I was like keeping it really simple
Mm.
and just making it as catchy. Like because like you were saying, like more rhythmic parts. Like a lot of the songs are more loop based, and I was just finding loops that I think are catchy, and I was
Yeah.
just kind of like, simplifying the process and just making songs that I just loved just being in when I would listen to them. Like it just felt really nice just to have them playing, and just for my own leisure, like I would hear these songs, and I think I had the biggest experience like that
Mm.
with this album. So that's why I'm the most proud of it, because I think it's accessible compared to the other ones. I think it's more accessible, more catchy,
Yeah.
but it doesn't sacrifice the Vale-Smith sort of style. And
To
so, yeah.
paraphrase Kenny Beats, don't overthink it.
I guess, yeah. I guess, like that's what it is. Like, I've noticed that with myself. The longer I do this, the less I overthink it. It's like because you don't because like the more sure of what you're doing you become, I guess. So you don't need to overthink it. Like before, I'm like really assessing. Like, does this hit like I think it hits? And I'm like you're overthinking it. Like
Mm.
that's part of the journey. And then I guess with this album, I'm as close to just not overthinking or not even really thinking at all as I've ever been. I'm just like doing it, and that's
You're,
it.
you're,
And
you're
I'm
just
just like,
going with your gut on a
yeah,
lot of these
yeah,
tracks.
yeah. Because I feel more like, yeah, exactly. Like I feel more sure of myself. Like I feel like now I can trust my gut
Mm.
as much as like more than I've ever been able to before. Like I feel like I'm at a point where it's like, oh yeah, if you think this melody or this sound could work here, you're probably right. Just do it. Don't question it.
Sure.
And like that happened more on Rekindle than any other project, and it's resulted in songs that I enjoy the most. Like just purely from a me wanting to enjoy a piece of entertainment perspective, just like I would anything else. I enjoy the songs on Rekindle the most
Sure.
out of any record. So for that reason, all of that I just said, that's why I'm most proud of it. Pretty
No,
much.
you had me thinking. When you were saying about how you frequently go back. Ever since you even
Yeah.
released the album, that you're still going back to listen to your own music. It has me, to the general. If the general person said that they did that, I would be thinking, wow, this guy's so full of themselves. Why are they listening to their own music on repeat? But no, but I do
Yeah.
get what you're saying. It is quite a proud thing to do. If you're happy with your music and you feel like you've accomplished something that that you've overcome a big challenge, then I think in some
Yeah,
cases you've earned
dude,
it.
that's
I think
that's
you
a huge
have.
for real. No, you put that really nicely. I think that's a huge part of how I want Rekindle to feel. Like it kind of feels, I think tonally, just how the beats feel, how the music feels, like on an emotional level, it feels like overcoming a challenge or breaking loose. Like one conversation,
Mm.
that song came literally. I remember I was literally having a conversation at work with someone, and I was making that song whilst I was talking to them, like full on multitasking.
Wow.
Like it was just like. And I just felt like so excited by this conversation, and it reminded me about how like literally just one chat with the right person can bring your mood up from like you can bring your mood way up to like a 5 out of 10 to like a 11 out of 10, like
Oh,
just having
brilliant.
one chat. And that song is me trying to basically take that scenario and make it into a track that feels like that rush you get off of just having like a nice experience with talking to someone.
Hmm.
And it's sort of I've sort of wanted to feel like sort of like yeah, like breaking free. And I think that there's a general feel of overcoming when it comes to this album. I think there's like overcoming a hurdle is sort of a big thing,
Yeah.
and tracks like that do, I think, add to that feel.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you bringing that up the way you did, because I think that's something I was conscious of, making
Cool.
it feel like that.
Cool.
Definitely.
What would you say were like your main musical influences and inspirations towards the creation of the album?
I would say actually coming off of we've just played Starlight Beamin', right? Well,
Yeah.
that song was directly inspired by an artist named Kareem Ali. That's basically
Yes.
my version of a Kareem Ali song,
Hmm.
and that's basically a big part of it was just like house stuff, like dancey stuff, Confidence Man as well, actually. Just like music that I just wanted to stay in. I just wanted to stay right there. Just the feeling I would get that when I would listen to it, it was just make me feel fluffy, happy. It's all melodic and it feels nice. Like, and the house music is a lot like that. Like Kareem Ali's music, especially. I just like I never want his songs to end. They just feel like this little safe zone.
Hmm.
And yeah, he definitely inspired Starlight Beamin'. But I feel like when it comes to my inspirations and like influences, that's the only one I can think of where that's like specific to this album. Because
Yeah.
in general, it's always the same dudes, man. Like it's Rusty, it's Igloo Ghost, it's Flying Lotus, it's
Flume?
Aphex Twin, it's Flume. Like Sam
Of
Gallatry. Like these
course.
are all these are all producers where like their signature styles and approaches always instill so many ideas in me. And Hudson Mohawk
Of
as
course.
well.
Who's recently
They
gone viral himself.
yes, yes,
For all the wrong reasons.
for all the right reasons.
Okay, I get what you mean, yeah, but
Yeah, no, I'm just playing. But yeah, no. Like, so these names, like, these are the names I'm going to be giving you alongside what I just said, like, because these are they did just always like, I like hearing a song by these dudes will just like make me want to lock away for 3 weeks and just work on just like sound design, songs, beats, drums, like just go crazy because
Mhm.
everything they do just does that for me. It just makes me want to live in music forever. But yeah, when it comes to like when it comes to Rekindle house music, like deep house that has a very like uplifting, bright, melodic
Yep,
sort of feel. Dead Mouse as well.
yep.
Just like because they loop. They're just there. They just loop for the whole time, and it's like 5-6 minutes long, and it's just like you just don't want to leave that little bubble. So I wanted to sort of like have that. Like that's why the music on Rekindle is a lot more loop based.
Mm,
It doesn't twist and turn and dart around as much as like I Sick of Being Unlucky does.
mm.
So
Which
that's sort of
is
where that came from.
which is, by the way, the album that that was what like truly got me into your music in the first place. Are You Sick of Being Unlucky?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, that's an example. That album is the most scattered thing I've ever made. Like it's super all over the place.
Mm.
And I just wanted to make an album that felt like fearless and crazy and just like it never really stood still. That album just doesn't stand still. And
I think that was a case of being in the right place at the right time because it came out near the start of the lockdown, didn't it?
that's true actually. Yeah, it did.
And yet, yeah, you've been really at it. You've released 3 albums in like 3 years.
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah,
good going, I think.
yeah. I'm loving it, bro.
And they're
I'm
all
like,
great.
thank you. Like, yeah, I love it. I'm trying to just drop albums all the fucking time. Sorry for swearing. Sorry, I'm just excited.
Yeah, apologies for that.
Yeah, my fault, my fault. But yeah, like that's just a testament to how much I enjoy releasing music. Like because there are times when you're as a producer, as an artist, like you think, oh, you got to space it out, you got to wait for the right time, you got to like roll it out. But when you're just like when you have the ideas, it's all flowing. Just like I'm trying to release albums every year. I want to be 30 years old and I look back and I got like 20 albums. Like I want to just go crazy and just like keep it moving because it's just fun. Because I don't really see it like I think a lot of producers, beat makers coming up trying to establish their name. They do that. They just put out all the music. They just put out like beat tape singles all the time, and
Hmm.
because they got to just keep them in the public eye and everything. But I'm more concerned with like the body of work. Like I want the album experience to be like that's so special to me. Is that the front to back listen takes you on a journey. It's like
Mm.
as a whole, it's its own identity. Like, and I just feel like that's where my head is at. Like I'm an album person more
Yeah,
than like
same
a
here
single
actually.
person. So, what I mean? Like I just love like crafting and building the album.
Mm.
And so if I feel like I've got a body of work that really is like a statement, like it's a progression, I see no reason not to just like put it out there. Like originally I was gonna put out Rekindle like next year. Like I had a whole
Wow.
plan. Like I've got this album right here. I'm gonna just keep working. I'm gonna put this out next year. But I was like, you know what? I need to get this out there. I need to like get this out so I can myself mentally just move on to the next thing
Mm.
more comfortably. And so I was just like, let's just do it. Let's just drop it August. Screw it. Let's just do it.
And
And
going with your gut once again as well.
exactly. Yeah. I just like, that's what my gut told me. So I just went for it.
Nice,
Uh,
nice.
yeah. That was it.
Would you say that would you say that much has changed for you in the time in between? Well, I know it's only a matter of months, but in between Coruscate and Rekindle, would you say that much has changed for you in that time? Considering that both albums are quite different in a few
Sure,
respects.
sure. No, I hear that. No, yeah, definitely. I think the music is always just like a subconscious reflection of where I am really. And yeah, with as we got closer to the end of Rekindle, I was really getting excited about just like I was thinking about I want to just do more things and explore more things that exist in the world. Like there are so many tasks and hobbies you can take up. Like whether it's like learning a language, baking, just finding new lines of work, or whether it is creative, like drawing, like just anything. There's so many things you can do, and I was like in a place where I was excited about like just gaining skills and just like doing whatever I can. Like I was in a sort of a metamorphosis in that way, because I was just like excited by stuff, and Rekindle, I think, sounds like that. I think that's sort of where my head was at. I've got a new job now and everything as well. I've like moved into a new, like my mind was sort of looking forward. Like, what can I, like, I want to read more. I want to do this. I want to like. I was just thinking of like, I want to like take advantage of the fact that like I'm here on this planet. I got years ahead of me. Like the best days are ahead of me. Let me take advantage of that and like really just explore not just myself, but like what I'm capable of. And I think Coruscate, I think I was more hunkered in with that one. I was more just like in my own introverted world. Like I was just like kind of going at it on the computer day in, day out, like enjoying myself. But I think I'm in a more explorative place mentally now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Rekindle reflects that for sure. So that's what I would say has changed. I mean, not much has changed in regards to like, the position I'm in a lot of ways. But and I've also like, and this year I guess it's been an unpredictable year, I think, and there's been a lot of obstacles and challenges as well
Yeah,
that have all been like kind of discouraging in some ways, but in a lot of ways I've grown and learned a lot through them. So
that's great.
I think Rekindle is sort of just like is sort of me climbing out of that rough into a place that is more excited and explorative, like I said, and that's what I think is the main changes. More of a mental change.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. I'm glad I'm glad that you got this very forward-thinking mindset, just about everything. Tomorrow's a new day, and it'll be better than the previous one, and so on and so forth. I admire that.
I think Rekindle for sure. The sound of it was inspired by those feelings, whether I realized it or not. Because when I make music, I've noticed this. Like my brain goes off when I'm making a song. Like the second Logic Pro X is in front of me, I don't see anything else. I just zone out. Like it happens every time, and like I just think the feelings of whatever I'm going through, whether that's like internally or just physically or whatever, like it just happens to subconsciously reflect and appear in front of me in the song without even really realizing. It's not even a conscious effort. I just make whatever the hell I feel like making in that moment, and whatever just feels right.
Yeah.
So that's it. And yeah, it's cool when I look back on the albums and I think, oh yeah, the reason it sounds like this is because I was in this place or I was in that place. Like it's always fun to sort of, because I notice it in retrospect. Because in the moment I'm just trying to enjoy myself and just have my own little escapism, and that's all it is. But looking back, you see these things. It's really cool.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. One of the other things that I wanted to cover was the artwork, actually, and regarding like how you're a lot closer to nature in this one, because your other covers have been in much more, I guess, urban environments, haven't they?
Yes.
The Icica being unlucky one, and and Rest in Peace, All for a Cascade.
Rest in peace, the homie. All for a Cascade. Gone but not forgotten. Unfortunately,
which I never got to hear.
You never got to hear.
I never got to hear it.
A lucky lad. But yes, this was a conscious thing that you're mentioning, the whole nature thing. Yeah, like I guess like Coruscate, the visual aesthetic I had with that was more digital. Yeah. I had the whole thing with like shapes and just lines and had a very digital, and then bubbles as well. Yeah. Like I kind of like, when it comes to the visualizers I was making for that, it was more like a digital thing, like artificial, but in like a, not in like a bad way, not in like a factory process way. But I guess I wanted to kind of think what's like the opposite of that, and like a logical next step coming off of that. And I kind of see the Rekindle artwork as sort of me like it's like I kind of see it as like windows into nature, basically. Like I like there's like a white backdrop, and you just have these like sort of little snippets of just like I guess like that's sort of linking in with what I said earlier about feeling explorative. Like I go on walks a lot, and that feels like a nice reset. Does a lot for me, and I wanted to sort of like factor that into the visuals. And I just wanted it to look a bit more like elegant and exciting. I wanted it to be like a happy sort of right away you see it and it just feels like
it feels inviting. I think
exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like anything's possible. Like don't like like that's kind of how I wanted it to feel. Like with the paint strokes as well, just sort of like making it feel like it's just flourishing in front of you.
Yeah.
And like great things are just waiting right there. Sort of, I wanted it to look like there's like a window into just like something warm and nice and inviting, like you said. So that's sort of the idea I had going into that. Yeah.
No, it's a bit of a different context, but I remember sticking this album on during a run that I went on, and I'm going to get into my first listen as well. Well, I did mention I was going to do that.
Hear about that. Yeah.
Actually, I'll talk about that now. Before I get to the run, I went away for. I think it was the weekend you released the album. I remember that, and I was staying at my aunt and uncle's down in a place called Minster, which is in Kent, and
cool.
and we went, and so it was me, my mum, and my stepdad Andy, who is also on Hospital Radio Bedford, funnily enough.
Okay,
and we went on quite a long walk. We went from a place called Rekindle. So this is staying in Kent, by the way. We went from Rekindle to another place called Minnis Bay, and just went along the seafront to that. And that was, I think that went on for about an hour and a quarter, roughly. It took us to get from A to B.
Okay. So that's perfect. I love that. That's such a good amount of time to be on a journey. Like that's perfect. And you just get stuck into that.
I had my earbuds with me, ready to put the album on, and I remember. I think the best part about it was, because obviously there's a lot of focus on nature, especially in the artwork, and also the much looser feel to the music as well. I had one side of me. I had a pebble beach with the sea on my left side. I remember what I was seeing as I was listening.
I had picture, man. Yeah.
And then to my right, I actually had there was actually like a big, quite a wide field, just of quite a spacious field.
That's damn perfect. That's like basically like that sounds like the ideal scenery I'd want someone to have listening to this.
It was perfect.
It's really good, yeah.
Contributed to one of the best first listens I've had in recent memory.
Oh, I'm so glad, man. That makes me so happy. Like I always do think of how the first listen's gonna feel. That's always something I factor in when I'm running back this or trying to sequence. I'm terrible at sequencing albums, like trying to find the right order. And I'm always thinking, like, how is this going to strike the listener? Like, what are they going to think of? What images are coming to their head? Like, this is all it's such a fun part of it, but it's such a frustrating part of it because you never fully know how anyone's going to interpret it. But it sounds like you had basically what I was praying would happen, basically. Really? So I'm really glad.
You just reminded me of the incident you had with Coruscate and the slightly different track list order, which you ended up liking even more.
That was so weird. Yeah, that was so weird. Like it was a mistake, I guess, that I made when I was distributing it and organizing it. I put Hummingbird at the end, which wasn't supposed to happen. But then I listened to it and I was like, I should have done that. This makes way more sense.
Was it Underthoughts you had as the last track originally?
Underthoughts was going to be the end. Yeah, because my thinking with that was like all my albums end on the longest track and they're like the most epic track.
Yeah.
Let me have the final song just be this like cute little bop instead, and just be like a nice little cherry on top. And I thought Underthoughts was that.
Yeah.
But then, hilariously, the longest, most epic track became the ending by accident. And you know what? Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It sounds great as the finish, and I think it ends it off on a note where it gets you.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine it being anything else.
Yeah, literally, it feels so appropriate though. Like that was a complete accident. So. And it's funny because if you listen to the album in the original order, which is like Everything and then Hummingbird and then Veracity, you will see it flows perfectly. It was something I thought of, but Everything into Veracity also flows really perfectly. So it's like, okay, I didn't lose out on much here. So
cool.
Yeah, it worked out really nicely.
Nice. And what I was going to get to as well was a later listen of Rekindle when I went for my run at one time, and that made me feel like I could achieve anything, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me.
That's right. We love to hear it because nothing will stop you, Dan. That's right.
Oh,
beautiful.
That's the spirit.
You know it, man. You know it.
The last thing I wanted to ask you was
Yes,
this is your first album on Ballcat Records,
it
and
is. And
how does
Moorcat,
that
yeah.
feel?
Yeah, oh man, Moorcat, they literally emailed me while I was at a Porter Robinson show, and they just said, "Yo, you're cool. You should join our roster." And I was like, "I don't know who you guys are. Let me look into it." And I see a bunch of names that I know and listen to already, like Hatena, like Nano Ray, and they're like, "Oh, these guys are
Wow.
talented. These are people I really like." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like that's so cool."
Just for the record, there will probably be a lot of people listening thinking, "Who are these people?"
Sure, yeah, these are like underground electronic musicians that I've just stumbled across in my time listening
Mm,
to electronic music. And I saw them and I recognized them. I was like, I would love to be label mates with the. I would be honored, like, to be considered to be a part of this like family.
mm.
And they were so supportive. They were like, yeah, anything you want, whatever you want to release, physicals, like albums, EPs, like you name it. We are like here to help bring that to the people and Bandcamp, and we'll sort it all out. And like, it was literally as simple as that. Like Sid, who runs the label, I would just message him like, "Yo, I'm thinking we could do this. Is that cool?" He's like, "Yeah," and then he'll just sort it out the next day. And it's like
Hmm.
it's a very simple process, and I just appreciate them putting so much faith in the album and trusting it. There is a vinyl
Yes, I
release
did see
if
that.
anyone's sorry.
I did see that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
need to cop
yeah,
that
yeah.
soon.
You can buy a vinyl for Rekindle, which is crazy. It's not been distributed yet. It's just a pre-order for now because it's the whole process. But you can
Mm.
place an order for a vinyl copy of Rekindle, which is so cool. And the alternate artwork that Sid made is stunning. So that's really cool, really beautiful.
It's a color pressing as well, isn't it?
It's yes, it is. Yeah, yeah, which is insane. It's like silver.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, please consider that if you want to support the music because it's the number one most effective way you can support Vale-Smith is buying that.
Hmm.
So I would appreciate that a lot, but obviously no pressure. I get, vinyls aren't always, super affordable. It's like
Oh,
£30 to buy a copy.
mm.
But if that is, in anyone's uh, you know, capacity, that would be incredible. It would mean the world. And it just feels amazing just to know a vinyl freaking copy of my album exists. Like that's so cool. So
Especially in this cost of living crisis, it might be a bit difficult. But yeah,
yeah, that's true, man.
you're self included as well. So
Oh man, yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, yeah, it's a struggle. But yeah, like it's still just amazing just to know that like my album exists on vinyl. I just can't wait to see that in the flesh. I'm gonna go insane. Like that's so cool.
and I'm a proud owner of the I Sick of Being Unlucky CD as well.
Oh yeah, that was so great. Shout out to Speak and Spell Records for that one, for putting that
Yes.
one out. Really cool. But yeah, Moorcat feels amazing. I can't wait to work with them in the future. They're very supportive, very kind, and it feels great to be a part of the roster. 100%. I think I will release with them again.
Nice, nice. I'll
Yeah.
keep my eyes peeled for more announcements. Then I'll take it.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. It'll come. It'll come. You'll receive it first through them. So yeah.
Nice. I'll bear that in mind. Without any further ado, now I've got time for one last track from Rekindle, and this one's doing some good numbers at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, this one is.
It's got how many streams? It's compared to like the biggest singles that are being streamed right now, it may not
Yeah,
seem much, but
yeah, yeah.
for quite
By my standards, this is pretty sick.
for an
I can't
independent
lie.
release, from a
Yeah,
very from a rising artist, let's say, this is good. These are good
yeah,
numbers,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I could.
It's like on the brink of hitting 2,500 on Spotify, which for one like not even like a month, like to get there, like even
Mm.
closer there, for me is crazy because I've had songs reach that before, but it took like months and months and months. So the fact that that's already there right now for me is like that's a sign that like it's progression. So that's motivating for sure to
Mm.
see.
And I can understand why as well, because I'd say this was the song that just I remember on my first listen, this was one that was just like, yeah, this is the one. It just grabbed me from the very beginning, and yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
can completely see why it's doing the good numbers that it is, because it is just
Yeah, I
a great
appreciate that.
track.
I like how I like that it has that impression. I remember my friend Elliot, like when he heard it ages ago. Like he came over and I played it for him a while ago. And when I was rolling out Rekindle with the single Starlight Beam and Sucker Punch, like he was like, "Yo, is that song the Oh my brother my guy? Is that song gonna be a single?" And I was like, "No, so you gotta wait for the album." But he was like, "So like, bro, you gotta release that song. That sample's so crazy. You gotta release it." And I was like, "It's coming. It's gonna be on the album." But that just showed me that there was like a demand for it. Like it grabbed his attention so much. So when the album came out, I was like, "Okay, I think that song's gonna hit people." And when I saw that happen, it was pretty validating.
I think
cool to see.
it's an appropriately titled track. It's called Ice, and it's an appropriate title because it is an absolutely cold tune. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you agree?
That's partially why I called it, not just because he says ice in the sample, but that is also why. I won't lie. That's it.
And that's all we got time for tonight on 21st Century Boy. I've been Dan Kingston, and I've been joined by the fantastic Camden Vale-Smith. Anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
I think I'm pretty content with the show. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to chat with you. Rekindle, my album is out now. Thank you all for listening and indulging in my stories about that, and also enjoying this music with me too. So yeah, I hope you all have a lovely evening. Thank you.
I'm going to have to run the album back again after the show, you know. It's got me in the mood.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And make sure to buy the vinyl as well.
Yeah, check out the Bandcamp page, buy the album if you can. It mean a lot to me. It would support the music better than any other method will. So yeah, definitely consider it. And but yeah, have a great evening either way. Enjoy yourself.
Alright, so that's it from us. Make sure to have a look on our social media pages at our HRB schedule. And until next time, I've been Dan Kingston, the 21st Century Boy. Listen out for Frank Palmer after the news. And until next time, take care, keep safe, and be responsible. Right, welcome back to 21st Century Boy with me, Dan Kingston, and my special guest, Mr. Camden Vale-Smith. And it is now 9... Oh, sorry, I need to plug the aux lead back in. I just realised, getting too distracted. Sorry about all the feedback. I just had a load of feedback come through as well. That's not great.
Easily done, man. We're all human. It is what it is.